Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. The Coffee and Biscotti Show. I'm your host, Crew Mel Bellissimo. Today is Friday, October the 15th, 12 p.m. EST. And it's a good day to be alive for sure. Today, my friends, I have a living legend in the world of wrestling. You guys are going to love it. Here's why. I don't know if you've ever felt this before, but I had a really great relationship with my grandfather, who, was a Second World War veteran, and there was just something. Even when he was in his late 60s and early 70s, I just remember sitting down with this man and, really sharing in some stories of like the old times. And I really love that because there's lots we can learn from what I call the old timers. A lot we can learn from talking to those who have spent and traveled more times around the sun than we have. And today, my friends, I'm hoping that you get exactly that, an opportunity to sit down with a legend. The show was created for two reasons. And I say this every week. I want everybody to know this. I do this week in and week out for one purpose, and that's to share stories of passion and transformation. And this man did exactly that. Whatever odds were against him, whatever trial or tribulation that he faced, he did something in his life, which is a lesson to all of us. And that is to live life with your heart. Because my next guest did exactly that. He lived his life with his heart. His career in professional wrestling spanned from 1978 until his last match on August 12th of 2010. This guy had a real career. He's the former Canadian, former Polynesian, former AWA heavyweight champion of the world. He is a proud father and husband. He works side by side with children with special needs. And he's a huge advocate of the Anti-Bullying Association. He really is a guy that's all heart. It's funny because I watched him when I was a kid on television. I remember watching Maple Leaf Wrestling. And you would see this man. And here he is, decades later, on my show. That's a trip, let me tell you. Because how many of you will get an opportunity to sit down with a guy that you used to watch as a kid? And I'll tell you something, folks. It's the whole lineage. The whole lineage of his family is just legendary because he also happens to be the uncle of, you guessed it, my friends, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Hollywood superstar Rock Johnson. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to bring him on because there's just too much to talk about on an intro. So let's just meet him in the flesh, baby, in the flesh. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world, get off of your comfortable seat and put your hands together for the man, the myth, the legend, Ricky Soldman Johnson.
Wow, thank you so much, Crew. Wow. That was A wonderful intro. Wow. I'm not sure I'm deserving of it, but thank you so much.
Wow, look at my face, Ricky. It's blushing, man. Like it's
Well,
red.
thank you.
It's red with excitement.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I blush sometimes too. That was a great intro, and I don't know if I deserve all those accolades, but thank you so much for saying them.
Well, Ricky, here's the thing, my friend. I say it with such pride and with such conviction in my voice because I've lived my life of passion. Ricky, my Italian 85-year-old mom didn't think that her son was going to go into Thai boxing and open up an MMA mixed martial arts school.
Absolutely. Look at
My
you now.
mom my mom thought, can't you go get a regular job? Can't you get like a job where you're a doctor or a lawyer or accountant? You know what she said to me, Ricky? She said, "You're a good talker. You should be a politician."
Yeah. Well, what you've contributed to society, your mom let you do what you wanted to do, and that's so more important than um, somebody else's dream. Live your own dream.
Living your own narrative. And why do you think I gave that introduction, Ricky? Because the truth is, champ, is that you did that.
Well,
You're walking proof. You're walking proof that you can go after what you love and do it. And even when you love it, you're going to face some things that
yeah.
it's going to really feel like work some days.
Yeah, some days it did, but uh, I had to persevere because I really didn't have a whole lot of options when I was a kid. So we didn't have very much money and stuff. And my mom raised five boys on her own, and it was difficult. But thanks, most thankfully to her, I got to live my dream. So I'm pretty happy, with the way my life turned out. And meeting so many wonderful people. And I grew up with so many wonderful people like Spider Jones, Charles Spider Jones, my cousin Ricky Atkinson, and I watched them succeed. And me and Ricky are around the same age, close to the same age anyway. And
Yeah,
Spider's
man.
maybe a couple of years older, but watching them, having them as role models when I was younger, brought me a long way.
Well, I want to first take a moment just to pay tribute to Bob Johnson.
Yeah, it was my brother.
And
Today's his birthday.
today is his heavenly birthday, so we are
Yeah.
dedicating the Coffee and Biscotti show to your brother
Well,
Ricky.
I appreciate that. My brother was a kind, decent man, and he helped everybody that he could, and I'm very proud of him. And even though he passed, he lived a long, prosperous life, and he made a difference in this world. So I'm very proud of
Thank you, Ricky, for sharing that. I just want to, I really, I have so many questions, but here's the way that I start every show, Ricky.
him. Okay.
Everybody who doesn't know Ricky Johnson is here live in the Twitchiverse and they want to know about Ricky. So, what I always ask my guests to do, Ricky, is to paint a picture. Paint a picture of who Ricky Johnson really is. I want you to go deep, my friend. I want to know about your upbringing. I want to know about what led you to wrestling. Go right
Um,
into it, my brother, because I'm ready to listen.
okay. Actually, I was born, since we're painting this picture, I was born in Amherst, Nova Scotia. And a small town, about 9,000 people, I think, something like that. And my dad passed when I was 4 years old, and my mother raised five boys on her own. So, she had a big load to handle. It wasn't very easy for her. And, but thankfully, she raised five, well, four pretty good boys, and then me. We've never been in trouble, thankfully. We've never been problems with the law or anything like that. And she gave me the opportunity to follow my dreams, and she sacrificed a lot in order to help us out. So uh, that's the big part of the picture that I'm painting right now, Cruz. Without her, there would be no us. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
don't cry. Don't cry. It's okay.
the mom, the power of the female
Absolutely.
goddess energy and
Yeah.
what it represents
Yeah.
in building a home
Yeah.
you know to your mom
Yeah.
who,
You
you know,
know, Drew, when I wanted to wrestle, when
yeah.
she realized that when I was a very young man, and we didn't have much money, and so I said I have to have a pair of wrestling boots because I can't be a wrestler with no boots. I think I was 17 or 18, and she saved her money and bought me a pair of wrestling boots. So, and she didn't want me to be one, a wrestler, but she let me follow my dreams. So, you know, I was happy about that. So
So you grew up in Nova Scotia. At what age did you leave Nova
I
Scotia?
didn't grow up in Nova. I grew up in Toronto.
Oh, you did. So
Yeah,
you left early at an early
I
age.
left at 4 years old. Yeah,
There you
and
go.
I was raised in Toronto, and I call Toronto my adopted hometown, but it's really not my adopted hometown. It's my hometown because it's probably the only place I know is home. But you know, and then I got the opportunity to travel a little bit and do some things, and I hope they were positive. So you know, we'll see.
Where did you end up growing up, Ricky, in Toronto?
I started in the West End of Toronto, and not quite Mississauga, but closer to the midtown area. Then
Hmm.
we lived around Ossington and I believe it was Dundas Street. Yeah, we lived there for about 5, 6 years, something like that. I remember the Iceman used to come on Saturday mornings, and my brother would make me go out and get the ice from him. For I had to give him 25 cents or something like that. So, but that was fun times. So.
No doubt, man. I think it was a glorious time to
Oh, it
grow up
was absolutely. I had no money and didn't know it.
and
You know,
still lived a happy life.
I was so happy. That's my point. We
Absolutely.
were broke, and I didn't even know we were broke.
Yeah. And so you're the youngest, correct,
I'm
Ricky?
the youngest. Yeah. Um, I had four other brothers, obviously, and they're all gone now. And like you said, today we're dedicating my time that I'm allotted here to my brother Bob. You know, we were all very close. I love my brothers, and we all got along well. And you know, it was fun times. Again, just to reiterate, we were all broken, never knew it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But
that
there
was
was a strong connection amongst the
oh,
siblings, eh?
absolutely, yeah, yeah. You know, I'm proud of them. What they went on to accomplish. Everybody talks about me and my brother Rocky and stuff, but my brother Bob, my brother Buster, my brother Mervyn uh, went on to great things in their own lives, doing what they were doing. So I'm very proud of them also.
Absolutely. But it was you and Rocky that sort of went the way of wrestling. And
Yeah.
how did that happen, Ricky? Like,
Well,
talk us through that. What did you do when
well,
you were younger?
well. Actually, my brother Rocky, he started, I think, in 1964, 63 or 64, something like that. And I think he was 19. He just started training, and Whipper Billy Watson seen him one day, and he said, "Wow," he said, "you got a great body, and you look good. And you're a good-looking kid." And he was good looking when he was young. No, I'm joking. but
Nice.
but he's 9 years older than me, so he got into wrestling, and then I think when I was about 20 or something like he was 29, I was about 19 or 20, and he said, "Why don't you try this? Because you're a good athlete." And blah blah blah. And I happen to be a good athlete, luckily, because there's a lot of good athletes around. So and I started training with him in Florida in I think 1974, 75, and then my sister-in-law, Dwayne's mom, after she wrote a very nice letter to the promoters, encouraging them to hire me, and luckily somebody did, and the rest is history. So,
Yeah, well, there's a lot of history there, so that's what I want to talk about, champ.
okay.
Because I mean, first of all, just so that we're aware, Rocky is the father, right? Your brother,
Yes, yes,
Rocky Johnson, is the
yes,
father of the Rock Johnson,
yes.
who's of course now a Hollywood superstar, and everything he touches turns to gold.
Yeah, he's doing well.
He's doing well. Now, I asked you this the other day, but for the sake of the audience, Ricky, I know that there's been a lot of questions that have been sent to me about, like, how's your connection with The Rock? Are you connected with him? Do you guys talk on the
Yeah,
occasion?
occasionally we don't talk like we used to, obviously, because he's very busy. But when he was growing up, we were extra close. Uh, I'll go on the road. Me and his dad would go on the road, especially when we were living in Texas, and I'd come home. We were not, wasn't a home. We were staying in a hotel, and we stayed there for a year and a half, I think, or 2 years, and they had a store in the lobby of the hotel. So I'll be gone for 2 or 3 weeks, and I'll come home, and the manager or the owner of the store would call me in, and he'd say, "Ricky, how was the trip?" I said, "The trip was good, man. Thank you so much." He said, "You owe me $19.27 for Dwayne's candies and stuff."
Uncle Rick taking
Yeah.
care of
I said, "Well, his
little
father's
Dwayne
right here."
Johnson.
I said, "His father's right here." He said, "My uncle will pay for it."
Very cool. Very cool. That's awesome. Well, I mean,
You
Ricky,
know, there's. I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Absolutely.
No,
Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, there's little things. We went fishing a lot, and when we lived in Florida, we went fishing a lot, and it just seems like he was joined to my shoulders, I guess, when he was a young kid. And after he got to be a teenager, and I was living in Toronto, and he signed with the University of Miami in 1989, but he wouldn't do it. They were living in my brother and his wife and Dewey were living in Bethlehem, Alabama, or Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, then. And he called me, and he was 16, and I got married that year, and he missed the Notre Dame game, by the way, to come up for my wedding. And he said to me, he said, "Unc," he said, "I got all these scholarship offers, and I don't know what to do." So he said, "Can you come down to Pennsylvania?" So I flew down there, and we met with a bunch of schools and stuff. So it basically boiled down to, I said, "Do you want to play football? Do you want to play it in the north where it's 90 below zero? Or would you rather play in Florida where it's 75 every day?" He said, "I'm going to Florida." And that's
Nice.
honest to God's
Good
truth.
choice, Dwayne.
Yeah, yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
So, Ricky, what I want to know is that I kind of want to get into, like, so Rocky gets into wrestling,
Yes.
and somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, Ricky, you're a good looking dude. You're an athlete.
Back then.
How did you start? Like, what was the process? Can you talk? Because
Yeah.
listen, I'll tell you this, Ricky. I'm really really excited because I want to tell you what started my career in
Okay.
Muay Thai.
Yeah.
I was working out of a Bally Total Fitness, and then this guy, he called his name Rob Fuego,
I know
and
Rob
Rob,
very well.
you know Rob, do you?
Very well. Absolutely. He's a great guy.
So Rob was working out at the gym when he had squared circle training
I
at
remember that.
Finch. At Finch,
Yeah. I remember his training. So I was never there, but he trained a lot of great wrestlers.
he trained a lot of great wrestlers.
Yeah.
And what happened was in 2004, he had asked me if I wanted to go to the gym and start my Muay Thai gym. And at the
Right.
time, I wasn't ready. And then in 2005, he asked again, and I was ready,
Wow.
Ricky. And so, you know what we
Absolutely.
had to do, Ricky? You would love this, man. He had a true wrestling ring. It was
Absolutely.
bouncy and springy,
Yeah.
but we couldn't use it for Thai boxing. So what we
No.
had to do was we had to create this wood contraption to
Yeah.
put on the middle of the center of the ring so it wasn't so bouncy. But I saw a lot of great wrestlers, and I owe the start of my career to Rob Fuego.
Rob Fuego, like to reiterate, he's a great guy. I just did a documentary with him last year, him and another gentleman, and they were so nice to me and stuff. And like I said, I remember Rob. I know Rob very well, and he's a really, really nice guy, and I'm proud to be his friend.
Yeah, man. So Ricky, for
And my
you,
Thai, by the way, what a great sport! What
Yeah,
a
I want to
great
know. I
sport!
want to know everything. I want to sort of suck it all in, Ricky. Like, how did this start? Your first match was on March 17th of
Yeah,
1978.
and
How,
Hamilton. I'm sorry.
talk us through that. Talk us
Okay,
through that.
well, I, as I previously said, my sister-in-law, which is my sister, I call her my sister-in-law, but her name's Atta. That's Dwayne's mom. Uh, she wrote a letter and she called somebody, actually Frank Tunney in Toronto, and he said, blah blah blah. I'll give him a shot. So they called me at my house, and he said, "Would you? Your brother and your sister-in-law told me good things about you. Would you like to have a match in Hamilton on March 17th, 1978?" I said, "Yeah." I was excited. I had no money and stuff, so I said, "Yeah, I'd like to go there." So I went there, and I didn't know how they were going to treat me and stuff. And they said, "Okay, you're going to wrestle Chris Tolis, and it's going to be a 15-minute draw." And I thought that, I said, "Well, that's fine with me." And so I went and I wrestled, and Chris was really, really good to me. He was an old time veteran by then and stuff, and he didn't really have to treat a young new kid well, but he did. Thankfully, I'm glad that he did. And I wrestled, and I got $25, and I ran home. Actually, I drove home from Hamilton, but I ran home, gave the $25 to my mother because we didn't have no money for bread or nothing. So I wanted to make sure that we had something to eat for the next day. And then they called me 2 weeks later. I did it all over again, and then it progressed from there.
Wow. $25 for one
Yeah,
wrestling match.
yeah. And I was happy to get it, by the way,
Yeah, of
because I
course.
went there with no money in my pocket. So that 25 seemed like a million to me.
And how old were you at that time, Ricky?
I think I was 20, 19 or 20, something like
Wow.
that.
And so how were you a big boy at
Yeah,
19?
yeah. I was 6'3", about 240, 235, 240. I got
Wow.
bigger as time went on.
You got
And by
big.
the
So
way,
what
speaking of getting bigger, this is something I'm very proud of too, because it's very prevalent in our sport now. It used to be more so than now, but was the use of steroids. I've never ever used a steroid in my life. I went to the gym every single day, 6 days a week, sometimes seven. I worked out, and I worked out. And I'm not knocking the people that used it because uh, it just wasn't for me. I'm not trying to criticize somebody else that did it, but um,
yeah.
for me, it wasn't. I've never used an illegal drug in my life, to be honest with you. I never even smoked a joint.
Yeah, you were clean, eh, Ricky?
Yeah, I drank a little bit, but that was legal. but
Yeah, 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 for sure.
I never. I'm proud that. And again, crew, I'm not knocking the people that relied on uh, substances because that was their choice to make, and I have no right to judge them, excuse me, or criticize them. That was their choice. So whether it was right or wrong, that's still their choice. And no matter what I feel about it, it's still their choice.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting, Ricky, because when we spoke yesterday, I talked to you about some of the things that you were proud of, and I want to sort
Yes.
of touch on one of them now because I think it's the perfect segue.
Okay.
You decided to follow this passion of being a wrestler, but there was one thing that you said that you were really proud of, and that's the fact that you stood tall and true to beliefs.
Yeah.
Without hurting anyone else. I want to talk a little bit about that,
Okay.
Ricky.
Yes.
I want to know a little bit about like what was it like for you? What was it like for you in wrestling? Was it difficult for you? We talked about sort of being a black wrestler, and
Yeah.
and even one guy saying you weren't black enough. Somebody
Yeah.
said to you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. That was Ole Anderson. I'll say it right there. That was Ole Anderson that said that to me. And I ended up leaving. But as far as racism and stuff like that, I wasn't obviously very affected by it. I've been lucky enough that 99.9% of the places that I've been to, the people were very nice to me. So you get the odd person, but as far as being uh, how I feel about things, again, I go back to my mother because that's how she raised us. So um,
Well, it's clear she
without
did a
her,
great job.
yeah, well, thank you. She was amazing. So you know,
And so when you talk about true to beliefs, what were some of the things that you valued growing up as a wrestler in a time when
telling the
wrestling was
truth.
at the height?
Yeah, telling the truth. Telling the truth. I've had many people, many promoters lie, and I'm sure if you talk to some of the people that other wrestlers that you've known or met, like Rob Fuego, for example, there's a lot of promoters that lie to you. And excuse me for coughing, but um, sometimes you overlook it, and I could have chose another option and fought back, but I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna rather than rock the boat for the other guys that are here and screw it up for them. I'm just going to go my own way, and that's what I did.
Yeah, because I think that, I want to talk about all these different championships that you won. I mean, you're
Yeah,
the former Canadian
yeah,
heavyweight champ. Do
yeah.
you remember who you wrestled to get the belt?
No, because uh, I honestly I really don't because I won it on 5 occasions. So
Oh, only five.
yeah, only five. So, I really
Only
don't.
five occasions
Yeah,
you won the heavyweight
yeah,
belt. Oh, that's just something to do on a weekend.
yeah. Yeah, I wish it was just weekends, but I wrestled 350 days a year. So,
Yeah, you
you
did a
know,
lot of wrestling, eh?
yeah, a lot of traveling and stuff. So Uh, I I trying to remember. I think it was Billy Cool Cat. No, it wasn't him. A long time ago.
Well, if it was
And the
five
belt
occasions, I could understand
and you know
why.
what though, crew. Uh, wrestling is play acting more or less, right? So the belts really didn't mean a lot. They mean something to the people that actually, I guess, have them at the time, like I had them at the time. Um, but wrestling is, was scripted, and so that's the honest to God's truth. So I'm not going to lie, and you still had to perform. Doesn't mean it was an act. You had to perform, and your body took a beating and a bruising every single night. And we just tried to do the best that we could to entertain people, and the promoters obviously want to make money. We wanted to make money, and thankfully it worked out for me and a bunch of other guys. Some people it didn't, but not from lack of trying. They tried their best. So anybody that's ever attempted to walk into a squared circle and try what to do what we do, I give them 1,000,000% credit for that because it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, as a fighter and trainer, Ricky, I
Yeah,
can certainly appreciate that. When you're talking about mixed martial arts and Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and boxing and all the rest of them.
those guys,
Uh,
you guys amaze me with that. Wow.
well, and to be fair, when I got into Rob Fuego's gym
Yeah,
and I saw what the people were doing,
yeah,
scripted
amazing.
or not, these
Yeah,
guys were jumping from turnbuckles and
yeah,
smashing down on the canvas where
yeah.
I always wondered how nobody got hurt.
Yeah, yeah. The funny thing is, I got most of my injuries working out because when I'm in the ring with another professional, I was with another pro.
Yeah.
And sometimes just working out and trying different things out. Sometimes I'll sit at home, crew, and something will pop into my head while I'm laying in bed. I say, you know what, I'm going to try that tomorrow. But I'm going to try it with nobody around because if it doesn't work, I don't want nobody to see it. The things that'll work, I'll keep them and try them. So, you
Can
know,
you
I,
tell us? Can you tell us, Ricky? What was the signature move, man? What was Ricky Soldman Johnson's signature
yeah,
move?
figure four leg lock.
The-
Yeah. And you know who told me
yeah,
that was Ric Flair.
Ric
Uh,
Flair.
yeah, I wrestled him, I think, in my first or second year. And I remember we were both wearing red tights and red boots. And he said to me, he just come up. Uh, forget where I wrestled. I think West Virginia or something. And he said, Ricky, he said, if I known you were going to wear red, I would have wore something else. And I said, if I knew you were going to wear red, I still would have wore red because that's all I have.
Wow, he's a legend, man. Ric Flair's
Yeah,
a legend.
yeah. Rick's my friend. He's a good guy.
So in your career, Ricky, who did you cross paths with that like sort of our friends would know in the Twitchyverse, like I mean
I I
in
don't
my
think the
day
young
in my
um,
day was like the Hulk Hogan and
mine too.
Macho
Yeah,
Man Randy Savage.
yeah. And Bruiser Brody, he was a good worker, good friend of mine. Uh, you're putting me on the spot by making me think. I'm not real good at thinking. So,
Is there somebody that really sticks out for you though?
my wife.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. No, somebody really said, I guess, we had quite a few. I see some of the fans that might be listening now have probably never heard of a couple of guys I'm going to talk about, like Kevin Sullivan. And he was a big star in the Southeast. Um, who else? There's a million. It's hard to think right now.
well, what about guys like Bruno San Martino and
Bruno
Sweet
was my
Daddy
hero.
Siki?
Yeah, well, Sweet Daddy's my. That's funny. Now you're refreshing my memory because Sweet Daddy was not only just one of my best friends; he was my mentor. And I sat and listened to him on car rides, hotels, obviously dressing rooms, and without him, I don't think I would have even stayed with wrestling because there was a time I was going to quit because I wasn't making no money and and I was worried about the future. And he sat with me and talked to me over and over and over and over and over for hours. And he said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. He said, but if I look like you, and this is back then, not right now, I have a neck brace on now, but he said, if I look like you and built like you and could talk like you, the last thing I would be doing is thinking of quitting because you're right on the edge, you're right on the verge stuff. So. And I listened to him. So.
Wow. Wow, they're both legends. I mean, there's a friend here on the show with us. His name's Joe Capone. So shout out to Joe.
Joe, shout
He,
out, Big Joe.
yeah, man, he's related to Bruno San Martino.
Wow. Well, maybe I got to hook up with it. Bruno was my all-time hero, and I met him for the first time ever, believe it or not, after I stopped wrestling, and that was at a wrestling convention in 2012. And here I am, this great big man, and I seen Bruno come through the door, and my heart started beating. I just couldn't believe that. I was like a little child, like a little fan. And I walked up to him, and he said, he looked at, before I said anything to him, he put his hand out and he said, "You look just like Rocky Johnson." I said, "He's my brother." He said, "I knew that already." He knew more about me than I thought. But I
Wow.
was I was just such in awe of him that I gave him the respect and the credibility that he deserves. So
But Ricky, you had your opportunity to go to the WWE, and your brother, he went to the WWE,
he was a
didn't he?
tag team champion there with Tony Atlas. Yeah,
Tony Atlas and Rocky Soulman Johnson.
yeah, yeah. They were a great tag team, and I worked for WWE for a little while, a couple of days actually. Some things, inside things happened that no sense to be boring people with about now, but I wasn't very happy and I left. My brother stayed. He went on to have great success there. So,
Yeah,
but like
because I
I'll
mean,
just reiterate by saying this: I've never used steroids.
yeah, yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
And you'll leave it at that, eh?
Yeah,
And so he ended up in the WWE. Now I asked you the other day, what about the WCW? Was that a big thing for wrestlers if you
yeah,
were part of the
absolutely.
WCW?
Back in the day, in the late '90s, early 2000, WCW was beating uh, WWF in the ratings. Ratings back then were even now. ratings, TV ratings were a big issue. So and then WCW, they were the first company to start giving out guaranteed contracts. So all of a sudden, we didn't become independent contractors. We were actually signed to a contract. So there was a bunch of money being thrown around, and obviously guys like Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and they went for the contract. I think Kevin signed for $3 million a year, and he only had to work like 100 days a year or something like that. So why wouldn't you want to do that? Right?
Yeah, no doubt. And did you get a chance to do that as well, Ricky, with the
No,
WCW?
no. Again, because of my personal convictions.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to knock somebody because they're not here to defend themselves. So I'll just say because of my personal convictions, I didn't go.
See, I love that, Ricky. I really do, man. I mean, because what it represents for me, Ricky, is that you really stood true to who you are,
Yeah, I
and
needed the
you,
money too, but I
yeah,
didn't
and
go.
you weren't going to waver. You
No,
weren't going to waver
not
from
once.
your principles.
Nope, not a chance.
So you ended up becoming the former Canadian, amateur
Champion,
heavyweight champ. What about
professional.
what's professional? What about the
Yeah,
Polynesian Championship? What was
yeah.
that like?
Well, me and my brother, we were in. My brother went to Hawaii. I got a great story about that actually. My brother was already established in Hawaii. Everybody knew him. Hawaii is a small place, so uh, you know, not hard to get, or it's easy to get over there, right? So, especially when you're black, because there's not a whole lot of black people, there's Polynesian people. But anyway, they called me up. And they make it a long story short. So I flew to Hawaii, and they wanted me to. My brother's mother-in-law, Leah Maivia, which is Dwayne's grandmother. She hugged me and she loved me to death, and I loved her. And she wanted me to get over on TV on a Saturday morning. I just got there late Friday night, and but I had to be very emotional, and I had jet lag because there's a 6 hour time difference, and I wasn't feeling all that emotional. So when I started to do my interview, they cut it because they said you're not emotional enough. So there was a stagehand off to the side, and I said, "Is that a market across the street?" And there was like a fruit market, vegetable market. Excuse me. And I said, "Go get me an onion." So he came back with an onion. I rubbed the onion all over my hand, over both hands. Terrible. It smelled terrible. And so I started doing the interview, and then I put my hand up to my eye and rubbed some of the onion in my eye. And I started to cry from the onion. And I said, "I'm so happy to be in Hawaii." I said, "You want emotion? I'll give you emotion." A little trick, a 10-cent onion.
Now, did you get a chance to wrestle with your brother,
Oh, we were the
Ricky?
tag team champions for 2 years. Yeah, me and my brother, we defended. I loved Hawaii. That was my favorite place to be. Obviously, I had to work twice a week or 3 times a week. I was off 4 days a week. I could go to Waikiki, spend time on the beach, and hang out with quote unquote my people. My wife's listening, so I got to be careful what I say.
The one. Hi, Gene. Hi,
Yeah,
Gene.
yeah. Crew saying hello, Gene.
Hey, I guess somebody just wrote in the chat, Ricky. They wrote the original Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah, yeah. That Bobby Heenan used to call us that.
There you go, Bobby the Brain
Yeah,
Heaton.
Bobby. Yeah, he used to say Johnson and Johnson. You guys still make wax?
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah,
So what other things, like I'm so intrigued, Ricky, again, because not every day do you get to sit down with a legend in the wrestling world. And when I was a kid, I really loved it, man. I really loved wrestling. I thought that these guys were such acrobats and such athletes. Is there one time? Is there one match? Is there one event that you remember that you could share with us? Because, like you said, if there's 356 days in the year, you were wrestling 300 of them.
Yeah. There's a couple. The first time me and my brother won the Polynesian Tag Team Championship, that stands out of my mind a lot because we're at Aloha Stadium in Honolulu, and there's about, I think, 15, 16,000 people. And they didn't really know me that well. It was only my second time there, like in Hawaii. And I remember the welcome that they gave me when I went into the ring. I said to my brother, I said, they know who you are, but they've never seen me. Like, you know what I mean? And he said, enjoy it. And I did. And we ended up winning the tag team championship. And we held them for 2 years. We lost them, and then we won them back another time. So.
Yeah, man. I can't tell you, Ricky, that I have a good friend of mine, Paul, who's a huge wrestling fan, who I called yesterday. I said, Paul, guess who I got to get on the show, man? And he
Hello,
started
Paul.
going, he said he started going bananas. He was telling me about something. I forgot what he said to me yesterday about
Yeah.
all these wrestlers that he had watched and remember seeing even your brother
Yeah. My
on
brother was a
television.
huge star. Yeah.
Yeah, Rocky really
Yeah.
did well for himself in the
Absolutely. He did.
WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, where was the AWA, Ricky? What
Minnesota.
was? Oh, it was in Minnesota.
Yeah. The Midwest, I guess they call it now and stuff.
So what was
Um,
that? The
American
American
Wrestling.
Wrestling Association?
Yeah. Yeah. And I worked there for a while, and that was for Vern Gagne, and he's an old timer. He's dead now, but that was a long time ago. Good memories though. It's all good, crew. I don't
Yeah.
have.
Well, I mean,
I really
this
don't
is
have a lot of bad things to say about people. So
Well, and
I
I think
lived
that
each
that's what
day.
makes this so special, Ricky, is that you've got all of this knowledge and wisdom and all of this experience. And I mean, listen, not everybody gets to go and walk through a stadium in Honolulu where there's 15,000 screaming fans. I mean, this
Yeah.
is this is not everybody gets to do that.
No, I guess I never thought of it like that. um, to me, it was my pleasure to entertain people. It was my job. They paid their hard-earned money. They worked all week, uh, and they saved their money up to pay to see us. So it's up to us to make sure that they got their money's worth and we're entertained.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I just see I'm on the screen here now too. Paul Pollination, the original Johnson and Johnson. Okay,
Yeah, Poutine Nation. That's
Foodie
my dear
Nation.
friend
Okay,
Josh. He's
yeah.
here. Joe,
Hello, Josh.
Josh and Joe from Hope Be the Cure. He's got a
Oh,
great
really?
story. He's
Wow.
he's got a great story. He was just
Hope be
I
the
think it was
cure. I
just
love that
before.
because I'm involved in a lot of stuff like that.
Well, we're gonna get to that. I want to give
Okay.
a shout out to Sandra Mio, of course, and I got a dear friend from Jamaica, Two Tums, sending him much love. Bup from your
You only
boy in
got two
Ottawa.
thumbs, no hands?
Two Tums, baby. Two
No hands.
Tums. No hands, baby. He's two
Okay.
Tums.
Joking two thumbs. I love you, my brother.
Actually, he wrote, Ricky said, big up crew.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
He
you, my
says
brother.
what a great guest for the show.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that.
And of course, I want to shout out to my boy Albert. He's my tennis coach, Ricky.
Alberto.
Alberto Wong.
Okay. Alberto Wong. Love you, my brother.
That's awesome. So, Ricky, this is a great time, to sort of you did all this work. You've had an incredible, what I would call an illustrious career in
Well,
wrestling.
thank you.
And then what ends up happening is that, you know, you end up getting involved in all these different things. You're part of this. Talk to us a little bit about the Anti-Bullying Association.
Yeah, I'm proud. I'm honorary chairman for the anti-bullying. It's called Blue Heroes, and um, it speaks for itself. It's anti-bullying, and we're against bullying of any kind, any race, any person, any nationality. Bowling is wrong, period.
And what are some of the things that you do for the association, Ricky?
I talk. I go on to. I'm limited now because I got some physical problems with my neck and stuff. But I go around and I give speeches. Well, not speeches. I don't like to say speeches because I interact with the audience. We talk and we try to figure out what's best for us to do in order to help other people from being bullied. Um, my line is always open. My Facebook is always open for people that feel like they're being bullied, and I always have time to give to them if they need my help in some way.
That's awesome. And I guess with COVID, it's been, I guess, a little bit difficult,
It's been
Ricky, to go.
difficult, yeah, getting out and stuff, and plus, I have things at home that I have to take care of,
Yeah, of course.
uh, it's, but you balance the two, you know what I mean. So it's, it's a good feeling to do it. It's a good
Oh,
feeling to help somebody else because I remember it, crew, and people helped me out. So now I'm just trying to give back a little bit to what I received.
well, I was wondering, Ricky, if you would do the honors of talking about your friend Tor.
Yes.
I want
Yeah.
you to share with my friends in the Twitchiverse, um, especially a dear woman who I love very much. Her name's the Rum Cake Queen,
Okay.
Christine. She's here with us,
Christine, I love you.
sending my love to the Rum Cake Queen. She's got a great story, Ricky. She was also on the show.
Right.
Um, but uh,
Tor
but but tell us about Tor, Ricky.
Tor was a young man that I met at the age, I think he was 32 years old. Excuse me. And I met him in the Thousand Islands in Ontario. Sorry. I met him in the Thousand Islands in Ontario. And I think he was younger than 32. He passed when he was 32. I'm sorry. My wife was trying to tell me something.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I
as,
love it,
as
Gene.
usual. You have a wife? But anyway, yeah, we met his parents in the Thousand Islands, and
Yeah.
I was having breakfast. We were checking out of the hotel we were staying in. It was like a resort, and somehow we're in the dining room for breakfast, and his mom came up and she said, "Are you Ricky Johnson?" Blah blah blah. Would you mind signing an autograph for my son? I said, of course, yeah, absolutely. So I said, why don't you guys sit down, her and her husband? So they sit down with us. We have breakfast. That's how I am. And, she was telling me about Tor, and she told me that it has or
Spina bifida.
spina bifida, yeah. And as it turned out, she didn't live too far from us back home. So I said, well, why don't you give me a call? She said, Tor loves wrestling. And he's never been to a wrestling show in his life, but he watches it on TV and he knows all the wrestlers. And I said, well, tell him, here's my phone number. Tell him to give me a call. And I never thought nothing about it. A week later, 2 weeks later, she called. I talked to Tor. He could hardly talk because of his condition, but I strained to hear him, and I did. Anyway, we hooked up. I took him to a wrestling match and took him backstage to meet everybody, and everybody fell in love with him. And he asked me, could he call me uncle? I said, of course you can. He gave me a hug and a kiss. And he said, you're my uncle from now on. I said, that's cool. And make a long story short, 3 years ago, he ended up passing away. He was on life support. So they had to remove the life support. And his mom called me and my wife, and she said, "I'd like you guys to be here when we pulled the plug." So anyway, we went, and I remember him. Obviously, I got a picture of me and him on my fridge that I stare at constantly. And he was my friend. I loved him a lot. So, and he couldn't walk. He's never walked in his life. I pushed him everywhere in his wheelchair, and And I got other wrestlers when sometimes we were in a building where there was no ramps for the wheelchairs to go up. So I got some of the other wrestlers to come out and help me pick the chair up so we could carry him in. And anyway, I miss him. So that's that.
Wow, what a touching story.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is
it's a real story. I don't know how touching it is, but he was my friend. So.
well. Listen, I mean, I think that Ricky, this is a sort of an alignment with some of the things that we're trying to do and what I'm trying to do here in Ottawa with the Wolf Pack and all my friends that have decided to come together, which is a group of amazing heart-centered leaders who do great work in their communities and in their with their families,
Yeah,
of course. And I'll tell you something, Ricky.
good for you. I'm proud of you, by the way.
Thank you, Ricky.
I'm
That
very
means a
proud
lot
of you.
coming from you,
Yeah.
man.
No,
You're a
what you
legend.
do,
You're a legend to me, bro.
what you do to try to help people is that's the legendary thing. Trying to help somebody else. Anybody can say that they're this and they're that, but uh, the proof is in the pudding.
Thank you, Ricky, and it means a lot. But I've got some great people in my life. There was this old expression that said, "Show me your five friends, and I'll show you who you become."
I've never heard that, but I love it. I love the
Yeah,
analogy.
yeah, and of course, I've got some great people. In fact, there's
Yeah.
again a group of leaders here in Ottawa, including the gentleman who helps me every week, Josh Putti Nation, who is here every
Okay.
week on the show, helping me moderate the show, and he's just an amazing human being. And
Well,
it's
thank you, Josh. By the way.
yeah, he said, and he just wrote, he said, "Thank you for sharing Tor with us as well."
Well, it's my pleasure. Uh, you know, um, me being here, and I appreciate that. But I want there's people that aren't famous that need to be recognized, and Tor was one of them. He was just a good human being. He never complained what he was afflicted with, and he just kept on keeping on. You know what I mean? So to me, that was important.
Yeah, well, it's just amazing. It's amazing. It's just amazing for me, Ricky, because I think that again, what's an alignment is that you're the kind of guy that had this success. I mean, listen, first of all, Ricky, we got to call a spade a spade. Not everybody gets to sign autographs in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, true. I guess never thought of
So
that,
here
but you're right.
so here you are, you're signing autographs, but you've decided to use whatever you want to call it, the fame that you've accumulated over, from 1978 till 2010, your last match, and
Yeah,
you decided to go and take this energy that you have and share it with the community and share it with organizations that
but you know what,
really.
Crew?
Yeah.
I didn't do it. They gave me the chance to do it, and
Yeah.
I'm so proud of that. So
Well, and it's funny because we talked about the other day, Ricky, about the three things that you're most proud of, and the
yes,
first one, of course, is you said you're proud of your career. If you could speak to that, to people that are into the career or people who are struggling in the career, is there any advice, Ricky, that you could give to us and to those listening?
yeah, very simple advice: don't quit. Don't
Yeah,
quit because especially some of the people that have made it and are making mucho money now and stuff. Uh, my nephew was one of them at one time. He's doing okay now, but I want to encourage the people that aren't doing that well not to quit because it's important that you stick with it. I wasn't doing well in the beginning. And I gave you the analogy, or not the analogy, the story with Sweet Daddy. I was ready to quit because there wasn't a whole lot of money to be made, and I figured that I'm young, I should maybe go out and try to find another career. And he convinced me to stick with it, and eventually it paid off. And actually, the advice he told me, Crew, was he said, "Don't quit now because you'll never get another chance." And I never
yeah.
forgot that. So,
And I guess that was sort of maybe the quantum conversation or the quantum moment that you had with
quantum
Sweet
moment,
Daddy.
yeah. and that made me work out even harder, made me go to the gym even more because then I got this focus. I became focused. I got this goal in my mind, and I wanted to achieve it.
Yeah.
And I'm older now, but I wasn't always old. And when I was a young man, you know, I had tunnel vision, and I decided I wasn't going to use drugs. Which, again, I'm not knocking for the people that do. That's their choice. It just wasn't my choice. That's all.
Yeah. The other thing that you said, which was really touching for me, is actually even before you
I've said
said
a
that you,
lot of touching stuff. Wow.
yeah, you really, well, you have because you're just that guy, Ricky. Like think
Okay.
about all the guys that have had success, Ricky, that maybe didn't have that positive message to give. It's
Yeah.
so funny. Here you are, a guy who signs autographs, a guy who takes this young man tour to a wrestling event, and yet the first thing that you said, Ricky, to me before our interview today was that when I asked you what you were most proud of, you said raising a family.
Yeah. My family's number one,
Talk to us a little bit about it. How many kids do you have, Ricky?
too. And my wife is the most amazing person in this world. She keeps me grounded, and without her, I don't. There would be no me. So you know what I mean. And I just recently, 3 years ago, was introduced. And I don't mean introduced by being introduced, but I found out that I had more nephews and nieces than I actually thought, and
No
that was through
kidding.
that was through Facebook, and thankfully, and I've come to know them. I love them all so very much now, and we're a family. We're a huge family, but we're a family. So, and I love each and every one. Actually, I'd like to name them. There's Trevor, Lisa, Paula, Adrian, and Aaron. Five of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't mind sharing it because it's the truth, and I speak the truth, so I have nothing to lie about.
Yeah. I love that you said that, Ricky, and I'll tell you why. Because I work with clients and I speak with friends and family on a daily basis. And one of the things that I always said, and the fact that you decided to talk about your family first is an indication and it is a testament to who you are as a person. Because I see people that are on the grind every day that work hard in maybe jobs that they don't love, but they're working because it's about the dollar bill and this is what they do to make it. But
And they have
I
to pay their
always,
bills.
and they got to pay their bills, and I get it. But I will say this, Ricky, that I love what you said about family first because at the end of the day,
That's where I have
because
to come.
if you have to, and at the end of the day, when it's your time to leave this planet,
Yeah.
no one's going to talk about, maybe
By the
let's
way, do
say,
you know I'm leaving soon or no? You're just making like.
no, you're not
Oh,
leaving
okay.
soon, Ricky. No,
All
don't even
right.
say
Thank you.
that kind of stuff. Don't even say it.
All right.
No, but it's kind of like saying most people will never at their the obituary ever talk about how someone did in their career. And oh my God, he was a great mailman, and oh my God, he was
Yeah.
a great a great construction worker. No, they're going to talk about what a wonderful person they were and what they did and how they were kind and how they were loving and family was important to them, and this is exactly the point and exactly again why I started this show, Ricky, because not everybody, in fact 90, I don't know, 95% of the people that I meet are in something called a job, which for me is an acronym for just over broke.
Yeah. I guess that's a good acronym, actually.
And you are again one of the few that I get to interview for the show that dedicated his life. I mean, outside of wrestling, Ricky, what did you do?
Uh, Not much. I
Something
tried to
that
help
time.
some people, but that's okay. You know, I get uncomfortable, honestly, crew, talking about me and what I did. There's so many people that are more important that did so many more things that I could ever dream of doing. So, You know what I mean? So, but thank you for saying that those nice things about me. But there's all kinds of people out there, as you just alluded to, that are trying so hard to help other people and do other things. From my heart, I genuinely mean it, and I'm sure that everyone tunes into your show genuinely means it too, and that's important. What I did yesterday is not that important. It's what I'm doing now.
Of course. You heard that, Josh. Write it down, baby. Put that one in the chat.
Write it down, Josh. Love you, my brother.
I love it, man. Well, we're going to be getting together, Ricky,
Yes,
with Coach Richard Atkinson.
I love Ricky's my cousin, so I love Ricky, obviously. So
Yeah, man, he's my boy.
yeah,
I've grown to
uh,
be really close with Ricky.
yeah,
He's
he is. I'm so proud of him. You know, for the
yeah,
obvious reasons, and he's not a bitter man, and I love him very much. So he's a good person, and I'm happy and proud that he's my cousin.
yeah, yeah. We grew very close when he got out. Ricky,
Yeah,
he ended up coming to my school. Um, through some other friends, of course, that Sam and Michael Bellissimo,
yeah,
and they brought him to the school. They sent him to school, and it was really great because I love what he's doing, and he is doing such great things, Ricky. And really, he's got this show called Flip the Switch, but he did it because of something that he did. He flipped his
exactly.
switch.
And exactly, he done that exactly, and I couldn't be more proud of him. Um, and now I look at him. He gave me some nice accolades, crew, and I appreciate it. But when I think about Ricky and Spider, by the way, and
Yeah.
Ricky helping so many children now with Mai Tai and fighting and pottery, who would believe a man like that would be doing pottery? And look at him now; he's amazing.
Yeah, he's a master potter. I've watched
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
I've
I
been
mean,
down to
yeah.
Alexandra Park and been to the pottery
I
show.
used to live there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where you used to live, eh,
yeah,
Ricky?
years and years ago. Yeah.
Man, down in
Alexander
the
Park.
hood.
Now it's the Atkinson Co-op, and
Correct. The
yeah,
Atkinson Co-op.
yeah, Ricky. Like I said, I'm proud of all of his work, and Spider especially also because Spider. We talk on the phone quite often and stuff, and he's always asking me about what can we do because can you come up to my center, the Spider's Web? What
Yep.
can we do to help somebody else? To help some of these black or white, but the inner city kids that that are struggling a little bit. How can we help them?
Yeah.
He said they'll listen to you. That's what he tells me, but they'll listen to him more. But he tells me, but he tells me that if you come and talk to them, they'll listen to you.
Well, and this is why, Rick, I got to tell you, my friend, we were talking about all these people. First of all, I had Ricky Atkinson on the show. I've had Spider on the show,
Yeah,
and I had another gentleman who I believe you've crossed paths with in Calvin Lawrence.
I haven't actually crossed paths with him, but I've heard of him.
Yeah, man. Calvin Lawrence is a fabulous human being,
Yeah,
and he was also on the show. He wrote the book Black Cop. Another. It seems like all the Nova Scotians have done something. Yeah,
yeah,
Nova Scotia
yeah,
represent. And
yeah.
just so that you know,
Yeah. But
Ricky,
Spider's from Windsor.
he's from Windsor. Fair enough. He's from Windsor. But Poutine Nation, Josh, he's a
Yeah.
Nova Scotian boy.
Well, I'm from Amherst. That's my hometown, Amherst, Nova Scotia.
Josh,
I'm a,
maybe you can write the hometown that you're at.
yeah, I'm a transplanted Torontonian. So,
Transplanted Torontonian. Well, that's my hometown, my friend Ricky. I
yeah,
just moved to Ottawa 3 years ago, and I got to tell you, I love it here. But there is something that, of course, Toronto holds very deep to me,
of course, absolutely, yeah.
and I've been all over that city and spent a lot of time in downtown Toronto
I'm
and
sure you have, crew.
Little Italy and all the wonderful places, St.
Yeah,
Clair.
I love Little Italy.
Okay, so he says, shout out to Lower East Cheese Sit Cook, Eastern Shore.
Oh, okay, the cooks. Okay, I know some of the cooks in Nova Scotia. I'm related to some of them, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look at that, eh? Amazing. So Ricky, so now that you've retired from wrestling, you've been retired since 2010.
Yeah.
But what sort of what are you up to now? Like where can we find out about Ricky? Where can people go to get in contact with you?
Well, you can go on my website, on my uh, Facebook. I'm very accessible. I like to talk to people, especially if I can help them. And I just mainly I work out a little bit. I've had some neck problems and some health problems that I have to address, but nothing serious. So uh, I'm ready, available. So,
And is there something in the works now that sort of? I mean, I know we're still in a bit of a lockdown with COVID, but is there something that you've been doing? Something that you're doing?
no,
Any speeches coming up or any
no,
presentations?
no. Well, I do, but again, like you said, because of the lockdown, I was supposed to be in Vegas last month for wrestling reunion, but there was well attended by the Americans, but the Canadians couldn't cross the border, so I was
Yeah,
unable to attend that. But
yeah.
I got some things that I don't want to brag, so I honestly I get embarrassed to brag about things. So,
Well, can you share at least one of them with us?
well, I'll be talking somewhere to somebody, to some people soon.
And Ricky, what about in the wrestling world? Like, I mean, is there still a lot of connection with the
Oh
wrestling
yeah,
world even today?
absolutely, absolutely. Uh, people. I still there's other famous wrestlers that maybe some of the your viewers don't know who they are, but through my nephew and through my brother and through myself, we talk on a regular basis and stuff. The magnificent Morocco and stuff,
Yeah.
and me and him. He lives in Hawaii now, so me and him talk quite a bit. But we keep in touch, and Don's long retired now, also, so he's trying to do things in Hawaii that he does. He helps people out, and so there's a lot of guys. You know, I appreciate your crew putting the onus on me today, and it's very nice, and I'm very appreciative. But there's so many people doing so many good things. I'm just happen to be one of them. Hopefully, one of them.
Well, Ricky, the truth is that I'll tell you this much that I've this is my I don't know, Josh, what is it, my 37th or 38th show that I've done,
Right.
uh, um, week after week, and what I can tell you is that most people that come on the show, Ricky, actually have quite a cathartic experience.
Yeah.
They don't really get the opportunity to talk about themselves and sort of some of the things they've done, and again, having a guy like you come on the show who's done so many things. um
And
yeah,
doesn't want to
Josh
talk
says it's
about
best,
it.
it's not bragging, it's just sharing.
Well, thank you, Josh. I never thought of it like that, but you're right, I guess. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I can't see Josh, but tell him I said thank you very much.
absolutely, absolutely. There's really so many wonderful things. We've spoken about you, Ricky, to so many of my friends, and I think I was a bit of a kid in a candy store. Not everybody gets to interview Ricky Johnson.
It's no big
I
deal.
said it to Spider. I said it to Spider, Ricky. I said, look, Spider's been interviewed by George Stroumboulopoulos and
Yeah.
Michael Landsberg, and here's
Yeah.
this guy in his basement interviewing,
Yeah.
these legends.
Yeah. No
And
big
so
deal.
it's,
No, not a guy in his basement. My friend crew.
but a little guy in comparison, just what an honor. What
We're
an
all the
honor it
same
is.
size,
Yeah, man.
and the
I hear
pleasure's
that.
been all mine.
I hear that, Ricky. I hear that. And so I think that what I'd like to do, Ricky, is just sort of, maybe you could offer something, other than don't quit. Ricky, what do you attribute the success to? What do you attribute all of uh, uh the success that you've had? I mean, I know you didn't quit, but
Right.
what was it? What was it inside your heart? What pushed you?
Uh,
What was the motivation?
I couldn't find a job.
That's it. That's it, eh?
Yeah. Nobody wanted to hire me, so I said I better become a wrestler.
Well, what a great way. What a great motivation.
No, but there's you're putting me on the spot, crew, to be honest, because I don't know. It's just something I woke up. It was in my head and in my heart. I, you know, hockey players. Some of them have a dream. Football players. Some have a dream. Baseball players. Whatever sport or uh, lady soccer players. Look what our Canadian team ladies did at the Olympics this summer.
No
So
doubt.
you
No
know
doubt.
it's there for everybody if you're willing to go after your goal, but you have to be willing to lose in order to learn how to win.
100%. 100%. And as a coach, God knows I know that, my friend. God
Yeah.
knows I know that.
And by the way, now you've been talking about me, but thank you for all that you've been doing and trying to help everybody else. It's so important, especially to the young children. The children need a role model, somebody to look up to, somebody that they can say, I want to be like him. And you're one of those guys. And I'm proud of you and thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Ricky. That really means a lot coming from you. And I'm humbled. I'm humbled and honored. I really, I think when I came on to the show and I gave the introduction, Ricky, I really was blushing, man. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Yeah, and for my boy Paul Lally, that's going to watch this at a later time, he'll watch
Paul,
the.
I love you, Paul.
Yeah, man, he was a fan, Ricky. He was a
Okay.
fan of your brothers.
Yeah.
He
We'll give
he he
Paul my
follows
best.
The Rock.
Okay. And from our family to your family, Paul, we love you.
Ah, thanks, brother. Thank you. I'll appreciate that, man. He's gonna love to hear that when he watches
Okay.
this stream.
Yeah.
Um, and Ricky, we talked a little bit about the Rock earlier, but it really is great. It really is great. There's something very special about the Johnson family. It's clear, There's a
Well,
special energy about the Johnson family.
again, thank you for saying that, but uh, maybe a little bit of energy. But Dwayne has always been a caring person. And that's one of the things. I'm not. The movies are nice, and and the money is nice and stuff. But caring about people is more important, and that's what he does. And he does it indiscreetly. That he doesn't put himself out in the front. That's say, look what I did. He does it because he cares. So,
Well, it's clear that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because, Joe at Hope Be the Cure says, you're a very humble gentleman, sir. The world
thank you,
needs more people like yourself.
thank you, Joe. I don't know you, but thank you for saying that.
Yeah, man. It's really amazing, amazing stuff. I want to kind of open it up to anybody. Uh, the apple doesn't fall far from the Johnson family tree, as the saying goes. It's very true, Josh. Very true. Kind of want to open it up to the friends in our chat just to
Okay.
see if they have any questions.
If they have any
Uh,
questions, I'll be happy to answer them if
if they
I
have any
can.
question, if they have any questions for you. But Ricky, again, I just have to say, man, you're an incredible human being, and I'm so honored
Thank
that
you.
I got a chance. Most people don't get 5 minutes with Ricky Johnson, and I
Thank
got a
you.
chance to almost spend 90 minutes with Ricky Johnson. So here's going to be my ask of you. I only have one ask of you, Ricky. I'm
Okay.
not going to ask you for a lot of things.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you for money. I'm not going to ask you for anything other
Okay.
than
Okay.
when I come to Toronto,
Yes.
I would love the opportunity to break bread with you and have a meal.
100% we'll have dinner.
It would be an absolute
Yeah.
pleasure. I'd like to invite Ricky Atkinson. I'd like to invite
Absolutely.
Spider Jones. And I would love to sit down with all of you and just have a most memorable dinner.
I would love to do that as well with all of us. That would be so terrific. Wow. Thank you
Well, and
so much.
and I'm going to be the guy to set it up. This little guy right here.
Okay. You set it up, crew, and I'm with you. And before I go, I just want to say thank you again. And I appreciate everything that you do for everybody. You're a
Thank you.
credit to our humanity, and I
Thank you, my
appreciate
friend.
all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra Mio writes, sometimes having a satisfied life is better than a successful life, as our success is measured by others, but our satisfaction is measured by our soul, mind, and heart.
Sandra, I don't know this lady, but summed it up quite beautifully. Thank you so much.
Indeed, she did. Poutine Nation, Josh, my friend Ricky asks, when did things change for you, your mom and your family, in terms of not needing to worry about tomorrow's bread and eggs? Do you remember a specific time or experience around that?
Yeah, the day I come home was at $25 for my first match. We were able to buy bread. But there was, there's times that led up to that. Obviously, my brother started getting successful way before me, and he sent a bunch of money home to my mother, so it helped out quite a bit. So obviously, and we were living day to day, like a lot of people still are right now. So that's another reason, crew. I take nothing for granted. I'm just very thankful and very lucky, and that's why I try to help other people.
Thank you for that, Ricky. Joe asks, Mr. Johnson, my question is, if you could change anything from your career, is there anything you would have done different?
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't have took my boots off in Charlotte, North Carolina, and walked out when Ole told me I wasn't black enough. uh, no, no,
Can you expand on that story,
no, I'd
Ricky?
rather not. So, because
Okay, okay.
it'll get into things racial things that I really don't like talking about
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we're human beings, so we're way past that. So,
Indeed, we are,
yeah,
or at least we should be. We
we
should be
should be
way past
absolutely.
that.
Well, you know what? With people like yourself, we're going to get past that. So,
Thank you. I hope so because
yeah,
I'm always in amazement, Ricky,
yeah,
that we're still battling this stuff.
we are. I'm not
You know.
pretending it's not there. I'm just
Um,
I'm just saying we're going to fight it. That's all.
That's right. Josh wrote, what is your funniest memory from your wrestling career, whether from your matches or fellow wrestlers you met along the way? Is there
Uh,
something really
yeah,
funny for you,
yeah.
Ricky?
Who asked this?
This
Josh.
is Josh. Yeah.
Okay, Josh. I don't know if you can hear me, but
Yes, of course.
uh, I was wrestling and somewhere I forget where. There was a wrestler by the name of Louis Martinez. He was a very famous wrestler, and he hated sardines. And in those days, we had separate dressing rooms. So the good guys were in one room, and the bad guys were in another room. So I went out and I bought 2 cans of sardines, and I rubbed it all over my body. And I was wrestling him that day.
Did you really do this,
Yes,
Ricky?
I swear to God. I went in
Oh
the
my
ring.
God.
I smelled like sardines everywhere. Right? He was holding his nose. The fans were holding their noses. And I grabbed him. I put him in a headlock. And I had a bunch of sardine stuff under my armpit. And that's all he could smell was this. And he ran out of the ring, and I never seen him again.
God. Oh, Ricky, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That's a true story, also, by the way.
Oh my God.
Sounds like a
Oh,
fishy stories.
that's
Who wrote
right. Josh
that?
wrote it. Sounds like a fishy story. Yeah. Yeah.
Who's Joe?
So, Joe, this is Bruno San
Oh,
Martino's cousin.
oh, wow. Well, tell him to hook me up on Facebook.
There you go.
I
There you go,
remember
Joe.
I
There you go. Do
remember
you remember
Bruno
Bruno
very
San
well.
Martino?
Bruno was my hero, honestly. He was the man I respected the most in this industry.
Yeah.
He's probably the man that everybody respected the most. But honestly, like I told you in 2012, this is 2 years after I retired. When Bruno walked into the room, I was like a little child,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I was a grown
he
man.
truly is a legend, eh?
Yeah, yeah, in more ways than one, as a wrestler and as a human being.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you something, Ricky. I would love to give to. I said it before that there's a woman. Her name is Christine, the rum cake queen. She had an amazing story, Ricky, and I would love to share it with you just before we go because I think it's in alignment with the kind of thing when you talk about family and some of the values and morals that you hold very dear to your heart. But Christine was a student of mine, and she worked for the TTC. Was a bus driver. Had a 6-figure salary. And she had her son who suffered from mental illness, and came into my school because she she drove by the sign because I was in the hood.
Yeah.
I was at Weston and Finch, so I was
Who's
I
going
was uh,
there? Yeah.
I was all there, man. And I just remember her driving by, and she said, "One day I'm going to go into the school." And she came in, and she said, and she wrote me the most beautiful, beautiful letter about how it was through meditation classes and through some of the chats that I gave that she decided that she was going to leave the position
Wow.
of bus driver to go and fulfill her passion for baking, and she bakes the most incredible Jamaican rum cakes, and she gave up this six-figure salary to go and look after her son, and she saved her son's life.
That's the woman you should have on this show, not me.
Yeah, well, she was. So just so that you know, Ricky, she was
Okay.
here, man. Christine
Yeah.
Monfries from Monfries Rum Cakes. She's doing amazing things.
Christine, thank you so much for doing that. I'm so proud of you. And I've never met you, but I know that I'll love you if I ever do.
Oh yeah, she's an amazing woman, and I saw some of her pictures, Ricky. If I can say this publicly, I saw some of her pictures online of a modeling shoot that she did, and whew, that's one sweet Jamaican woman.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend Joe said that he, of course, was in Italy at the unveiling of a statue in our
For
town of
Bruno,
Bruno.
yeah.
That's right, in
Yeah.
2017.
In Sicily, yeah.
So
In
there you have it,
Sicily.
my friends.
Bruno's life story is now. I'm sorry that he's not here for you to interview him because his story is an amazing one. His mom did, his family did during the war, the Second World War, and he was lucky to make it out. And again, it came back to his mother because she was the bravest woman in the world. So, and she made sure that her children were safe after his dad got killed in the war. So that's a
Amazing.
story.
That's a story.
Wrestling's not a story. Wrestling's just what I did. Wrestling's not the story. All these acts of kindness that you're telling me about everybody else, that's the story.
Indeed, it is, my friend. Indeed, it really is. And I'm so grateful for you saying that. I'm so grateful that you took this time with us today. Um, Again, Ricky, I'm just super honored that I got a
Thank
chance
you.
to be in your energy for this long.
My pleasure is all mine, Drew. I've had a blast and some great questions from the guests and stuff. So I appreciate everything. And I'd just like to say thank you.
Thank you, Ricky. So what I'm going to do, Ricky, is I'm going to put you in the green room, as they say, backstage, while I do
I'd
my
rather go in the
final.
black room.
Well, you can go to the black room. Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay.
But I'm going to go do and give my final
Okay.
thoughts, and then I will come back to you. So please stay online with me. Okay.
Okay, I will.
Thank you again, Ricky.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate you all.
There you go. Are you serious? How many? How many people get an opportunity to sit down with a legend like Ricky Soulman Johnson? Wow. I was like a kid in a candy store. You know, I was a wrestling fan back in the day, and like I said at the beginning of the show, man, I watched him on television. Maple Leaf Wrestling. For my friend Paul, this one's for you, buddy. And of course, as you know, we dedicated the show to Ricky Johnson's brother Bob. And you know, really, really such an honor to be here. I really was praying that The Rock would come and you know, just write a little something in the chat. But Rock, if you ever get to listen to this, you have such an amazing family, and it's clear and it's evident why even you have had the success you have, because the genes are amazing. I mean, all you have to do is look at your father and look at your uncles, and you will see what a great family you come from. And yeah, I recently was, Josh. It sounds like I was Ricky's nephew in a candy store. Indeed, my friend. Indeed, I was. Um, but what a great show. I really love this, guys. I really do. I'm super grateful for all my friends in the show that are in the audience, that are watching the show, that they come every week to support me. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Joe Capone, Rum K Queen. I love you, girl. Sandra Mio, who's always, always, always there for me and my family. Thank you so much for being here. Again, to Two Tums in Kingston, Jamaica. Shout out, big up to my boy. And of course, thank you to Josh for always being here. Josh, in the chat, please tell us where we're going to raid next week. I think we have officially confirmed sort of a Twitch celebrity, a Twitch sensation, DJ Maculate, next week on the show. I'm excited for this one because he's an amazing man. Josh has said some wonderful things about DJ Maculate. So I'm going to have a conversation with him this upcoming week, and we will be here live next week on the Coffee and Biscotti Show. Josh, let me know where we're rating to, my friend. I want to share it with our friends so they can stick around. Are we going to some excellent DJ today where we can kick back and enjoy? Oh, there we go. We're going to see DJ Hype in Club Unity. There you have it, folks. So if you can stick around, we're going to go listen to some tunes, chill out on a Friday with DJ Hype in Club Unity. Thank you, all of you, for all of your support. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate this more than you know. I live for Fridays. My whole world revolves around the Coffee and Biscotti Show. So thank you, all of you, for being here. Love you, Joe. You're amazing. You're doing amazing things. Hope be the cure. If you want to donate and if you want to buy a shirt or buy a hat, make sure you go to Hope Be the Cure. And if you don't follow Poutine Nation on Twitch, make sure you do, because he's an awesome human being as well. I'm out, my friends. Thank you for another great week. To all my friends, from my heart to yours, much love. Right away, Josh. Right away, my friend. Peace out.